What's up, you guys? 4K Lowdown here with my top 25 80s movies. Are you ready? Let's get it started. So, my buddy Tim over at Tim Talks Talkies issued a challenge, and the challenge was to come up with your 25 top 80s movies. So, I did that. I was one of 160 people who entered, and Tim put that all into a spreadsheet, calculated points, did all the stuff, and came up with the list tonight, and the list was awesome. I gotta say, I think I did a pretty good job. I ended up with 12 of my top 25 in the total top 25, and then 17 overall in the top 50. So there were 5 other ones that made the 50 to 26 area. So that's not bad. Total 17 out of 25. So only 8 of my movies did not make the top 50. I'm pretty happy about that. But anyway, so what I'd like to do is go through my top 25 list. And then if you guys haven't seen it, go to Tim Talks Talkies channel, see the top 25 community stream, which was awesome. And you get the great panel of guys. If you get a chance, sub to everybody. But without further ado, whatever that means, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my top 25. And you know what? Love it or hate it, I had a couple rules. Rule number 1 was not about the best movies of the 80s for me, but the most rewatchable, my favorites. So I have movies on here that people may not say is a good movie, and that's totally fine. In fact, there's one that got a lot of heat. We'll get to that in a second. Second rule is I will only pick one movie out of a franchise. So if I'm like, oh, I've got to pick, say for example, Indiana Jones. Got to pick something from Indiana Jones or something from Star Wars. I will only pick one from that franchise. And that's it. Because I don't want to monopolize like a whole bunch of entries because I loved all the Star Wars movies or I loved all Star Trek or Indiana Jones. If I do that, then my list becomes Star Trek, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones, and then I have, nothing left for the other stuff. So I only pick one, my favorite one out of the franchise. Like I said, not necessarily the best, but the one that I rewatch the most. So let's get it rolling. Number 25 is 1986's Top Gun. Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Tom Skerritt, Kelly McGillis. This is like, without this, there would be no Maverick, you guys. And I know a lot of you say, oh, Maverick's so good. It's so much better than the first one. I agree. I think Maverick's better than this one. But this, I was 16 when it came out. Young and dumb. And after this, all I wanted to do was be a pilot and play volleyball. So I actually signed up to get into the Air Force, and, I didn't pass the medical exam, but it is what it is. Number 25, Top Gun. Number 24, yeah, you guys can check out Tim's video to see actually where these ended up. So I'm not gonna say where they ended up. My number 24, also from 1926, also from 1986, is Stand By Me, River Phoenix, Will Wheaton, Jerry O'Connell, Kiefer Sutherland, Corey Feldman, Great movie based on the Stephen King book. If you haven't seen this, you guys definitely check this out. This is this is belongs in the top 25. Absolutely belongs there. I was so happy to add this, even though, maybe a little low, but it was like, no, I need to make sure I put this in there. So I actually sacrificed pieces so that I could get this in my countdown. All right, number 23. And again, this is from a franchise, so I only picked one. So, my favorite Sylvester Stallone franchise of the 80s is Rocky. I did not pick any Rambo movies, although I probably would pick First Blood as my favorite of the franchise, but it did not make my top 25. What did make my top 25 was Rocky, and I went with Rocky 4. And not only because I think this is where the Rocky movies quit being a boxing movie and started being more of a superhero like movie. And I dug that. Also, the director's cut, the Rocky versus Drago, I really like it. So that kind of made it jump past Rocky 3 for me. And that's why it takes my number 23 spot. All right. Let's go to number 22. And number 22, this is from 1982. Love this movie when I was a kid. I saw this when I was 11, and I saw it in the drive-in. And I remember on the swing set. And if you guys remember in the early 80s when they had playgrounds at the movie theater, at the drive-in, there was asphalt on the ground. There's no wood chips or pieces of rubber or grass or anything like that. It was asphalt. So if you bit it, it was nasty. And watching this movie, there was a certain part that kind of startled me, and I fell out of the swing set and crashed on the asphalt. Messed myself up pretty bad. Got a little road rash. So my pick for number 22 is E.T., the extraterrestrial. This is the 4K. I've got other copies of this too, including the clamshell VHS, which I love. But Drew Barrymore, Henry Thomas. This is such a fun movie, and the only reason it's 22 and not higher is because of its rewatchability. I haven't watched it in a couple years. It's still one of my favorites of all time, but not as rewatchable for me now. Still, awesome movie. Has to make my top 25. But it's a 22. All right, so let's go to 21. So number 21, this is from 1981, and it is one of my favorite sequels of all time. This is one that did not make the top 50, and I was actually a little surprised that I didn't see it, at least in some capacity. So coming in at my number 21 is The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2. And this is Mel Gibson in his post-apocalyptic greatness. I dug this one over the first one. But for me, it's The Road Warrior is number 1, Fury Road is number 2. And then the first one, and then Thunderdome brings up the rear. I didn't really care for Thunderdome. But dude, because you got that guy there, which led into Weird Science. So Mad Max has to be on this list for me. I bought this 4K on purpose, and I've rewatched this like a couple of times since I've gotten it. So it has to be on my top 25, and it is at number 21. All right. So we're coming into number 20, and you gotta You got to respect number 20 in the countdown, and I think it does make Tim's list, but I'll let you guys find out where. So my number 20 is from 1984. It's the original Karate Kid. No, get oh, okay. Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Martin Cove. Um, you gotta, I don't know. I watch this movie all the time. If it comes on TV, I always watch it till the end because it's the end that does it. Um, it's totally cool. So yeah, my number 20, The Karate Kid from 1984. All right. Number 19, number 19. This is a box set that I have. And again, it's a franchise. So there's 4 movies in this franchise. And I believe the first 3 are from the 80s. The third one, maybe not so much. But this is one where I picked the sequel over the original. And my pick for number 19 is Lethal Weapon 2. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Joe Pesci. I absolutely love this. Now, I love the first one as well, and I would have picked both. But again, I'm only picking one from the franchise, so Lethal Weapon 2 is my pick, and that's why it's at number 19. I think if I picked the first Lethal Weapon, it would probably take the number 23 or 24 spot, and then Top Gun would have been out. But this is the only one I'm picking from the franchise. Lethal Weapon 2 takes number 19. It's from 1989. Coming in number 18, also from 1989, is one of my most favorite war movies of all time. It stars Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Matthew Broderick, Cary Elwes. It's just a fantastic movie, and that is Glory. Civil War epic about the 54th Regiment. And if you guys haven't seen this, this is definitely worth a watch. But this is easily in my top 5 war movies of all time. And it had to be listed for me as one of my top 80s movies because I watch this as often as I can. So Glory from 1989 takes my number 18 spot. Number 17 is also from 1989, so 3 1989 movies in a row. And I love, and I guess I'm going to call them classroom style movies. So this is movies where you have a unique teacher that does something to inspire the class, like Stand and Deliver, Lean on Me, Freedom Riders, Dangerous Minds, all that kind of stuff. So my pick for number 17 is Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society. A young Ethan Hawke is in this. This is just a really cool drama. And I'm not going to call it a comedy, although there are some major funny parts because you can't stop Robin Williams, but he is very tame in this movie. And it really makes it worth a watch because he's kind of goofy, but at the same time, he's very, very serious. And yeah, I just had to have this in my countdown. So number 17, Dead Poets Society from 1989. Ta-da! Let's go on to number 16. Now, number 16 is one that should be higher on my list. But because I know this one's going to get a lot of love, I strategically put this a little bit lower. So coming in at number 16 is 1984's Ghostbusters. This is, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, may he rest, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts. What a great cast. It's funny, it's paranormal, and I like both. So it makes my countdown a little bit low. I would have probably put this in my top 10. had I not been thinking strategically, trying to give points to movies that I don't think is going to do very well. So Ghostbusters actually takes my number 16 spot because of that. All right, moving on to 15. On to 15, and again, this is a box set, so there are 5 movies in this set. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yes. Yes. 5 movies in this set, and I'm picking the first one, and I think you know what I'm talking about. It's 1988's Die Hard. I have to pick the first one. In this case, the first one, Live Free or Die Hard is my favorite, but that's not in the 80s. So the first one wins and takes my number 15 spot in the countdown because you can't stop John McClane. All right, here we go. So number 14, my number 14 is a movie that needs no introduction. Again, this is one that I strategically placed a little bit lower because I know it's going to do well in the countdown, and that is 1985's Back to the Future. This is the trilogy. I'm picking the first movie as my pick, even though Back to the Future 2 is from 1989. So Back to the Future 1 is from 1985, stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Crispin Glover, and it's an amazing film. And it's one that, you know, I hope they never reboot this. I just hope they never reboot this. But anyway, 1985's Back to the Future takes my number 14 spot. Again, it's strategy over like how much I love this movie, because this would easily be top 5. But I was pretty certain this was going to be high up on the list for everybody. All right, so number 13 is coming into, you know, my John Hughes love. And it's not, I don't really consider this, it's not my favorite comedy, it's not my favorite, you know, genre specific movie, but it's one of my favorite movies overall because it's a hybrid. It does a lot of everything. So my number 13 is The Breakfast Club. Judd Nelson, Anthony Michael Hall, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy. What a great cast. And pretty much all they're doing is sitting there in the library at detention on Saturday. And they take that and just give us this riveting performance. I know some people are not fans of John Hughes, but I am. So that is why Breakfast Club is on my countdown at number 13. Okay. Number 12. This is one that didn't need my help, but it is one of my favorites. It is one of my most rewatchable movies, and it is a great movie. Also, one of my favorite sequels of all time. So, coming in at number 12 for me is Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. This is this is it. This is the movie right here. I really think this is absolutely going to be at the top of the countdown, if not take the number 1 spot. But, and again, it's already happened. So if you guys haven't seen it, go over to Tim's channel and check that out. But for me, because I'm playing strategy here, I put Empire Strikes Back at number 12. This would easily be top 3 for me. But I put other movies up there because they're more rewatchable for me as opposed to this one. So this one I'll watch maybe twice a year, but the other ones that are up higher on my countdown, more like anywhere from 6 to 10 times. And that's per year. All right. So coming in at number 11, I thought this one was going to need a little bit of help. So I put this a little higher on my countdown, and that is 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, John Saxon. The original is the one true horror movie of this franchise. And until New Nightmare, I think New Nightmare was good. But I love the franchise. I'm a huge fan. But like other franchises that we're going to talk about here in this countdown, it goes from actually being a full-on horror movie to being more of a comedy or something like that, or basically doing something else other than being super scary. But this one, really good. It's my fourth favorite horror movie of all time, and it takes my number 11 spot on my favorite 80s list, A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. All right, coming into top 10. Coming in at number 10 is a movie that I should have made higher, but I don't rewatch it as much now as I used to. It's still considered by me to be one of the most perfect movies ever made. And I know some people don't like it, and that's totally fine. But I do. And my number 10 movie in my top 25 80s list is The Princess Bride. It's just what can be said about it? So you've got Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, Carrie Elwes, Andre the Giant, um, Wallace Shawn, Chris Sarandon, Fred Savage, Peter Falk, just Billy Crystal, Carol Kane. What an amazing cast. It's funny, it's fantasy, it's action. It's got one of the best sword fight scenes ever, even though it's supposed to be funny. But I think this is one of the most perfect films I think ever. And I think it's very deserving to be in the top 10. I should have put it higher, but considering what else I picked, aside from one, but I know one movie is not going to get any other votes. So that's going to be higher on my list. But anyway, Princess Bride, number 10. I think it does not quite make the top 25, but you be the judge when you go watch Tim's stream. All right, my number 9 is one that you probably haven't heard of. This is a movie that I first got onto, and I think on VHS, and it's one that I was searching for a while to see if they ever did a DVD of it, because I watched this so much on VHS that I wore it out. So at number 9 from 1985, and I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but Treasure of the Amazon. And this was also an alternate in my Rad 9 because of its rewatchability and how much I love this movie. So think of an Indiana Jones movie and then make it a gory horror movie. And that's what Treasure of the Amazon is. So I absolutely love this film. And I don't think anybody else is going to vote for this in their top 25. So I put this at my number 9 to give it some points, put it on the list. Come on, Tim, make it happen. Treasure of the Amazon, my number 9. All right. My number 8 movie is, just it's one of those that I think is just rewatchable all the time. It's from 1984, stars Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, C. Thomas Howell, and Leah Thompson, Jennifer Grey. Oh man, what a cast! Henry Dean Stanton is in it. Powers Booth, may he rest. Yeah, this is an awesome movie. So, where am I at? Number 8, right? Yeah, this is number 8. My number 8 movie is Red Dawn from 1984. You guys get a chance, definitely watch this. They rebooted this in 2011 with Chris Hemsworth, and I I liked that one. I thought that one was okay, but is this is the movie. So if you ever get a chance, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. Number 8 on my countdown is Red Dawn from 1984. Okay, so we're coming into number 7. Um, and this is one, like I said, these are getting higher on my countdown because I don't think they're going to make enough points to make the cut. So my number 7 movie is from 1986, stars Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown. It is the original Highlander. There can be only one. In my case, though, I own 2 of these 4K steelbooks, but for me, there can only be 2. But otherwise, there can only be one. And Highlander is the one. If you guys haven't seen this, I'm going to call this a cult classic because I don't know. I think people like this movie, but I don't know for sure. I just know this is in my Rad 9, and this is one of my favorite movies of all time. So it had to be in my favorite 80s movies. It's it's at number 7, 1986's Highlander. All right. So, number 6, this is from 1982, and I know this is going to be pretty high on the list, but it's my second favorite horror movie of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. It's got some of the best practical effects ever, and it still gives me chills when I watch it. It's Kurt Russell and Keith David in John Carpenter's The Thing. This is very deserving to be in my top 10, probably even in my top 5, but it's at number 6. But I know other people are going to vote for this as well, so I'm looking forward to this being pretty high up on Tim's list. If you guys get a chance, go over to Tim's channel and take a look at it. But John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982, my number 6. My number 5 is, and this is where I pick one from the franchise. I could have easily picked the first 3 movies from this franchise in my top 25 because I watch these all the time. I'm a huge fan. I love all this stuff. I love Harrison Ford. So I had to pick something from the Indiana Jones franchise, right? But my favorite is not Raiders of the Lost Ark. It would definitely be on there. But my favorite of the Indiana Jones movies is The Last Crusade And that's because you get Sean Connery in there as well. It's it's about the Holy Grail, and I don't know. I We're talking, apples against apples. I think, um, yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark for me got a 9.1 out of 10, and Last Crusade has a 9.4. That's the difference. Maybe even lower than that. Maybe even 9.3. But Last Crusade is my number 5 pick, making the top 5. Come on, everybody. I know this is going to be high on the community list, but I had to pick it. It had to be done. All right, let's go into number 4. Number 4. Um, oh yeah, Last Crusade is from 1989 as well. I don't think I mentioned that. So this movie coming in at number 4 it's one of my favorite movies of all time, bar none. This from 1986, stars Kurt Russell, James Hong, Kim Cattrall, and it is Big Trouble in Little China. I don't know how high this is going to end up being on the countdown, but this is my number 4 movie, and I hope it goes up there, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, one of my favorites of all time, 1986's Big Trouble in Little China, taking my number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3 is another pack, but have to pick one. And this one was kind of a no-brainer because it's either, again, it's going to be the first or the second one. And the first one is from 1979. So it's automatically disqualified, or else I might have picked it. But I still think this one's more rewatchable for me than the first one. So coming in at number 3 is Aliens. Oh yeah, this is the Alien quadrilogy, but Aliens. That's the second movie with Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton, Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser. It's so cool, and yeah, that's the one right there. Um, yeah, love it. So, Aliens number 3 on my countdown. Now, I don't know about these next two, but these are my top 2. I rewatch them all the time. These movies have become my children's favorite movies because I watch them so much. So, coming at number 2 is my favorite comedy of all time, um, but not my favorite 80s movie. It apparently is my second favorite 80s movie. It's Val Kilmer, Gabe Jarrett in Real Genius. If you guys haven't seen this, definitely check this out. This is one of the funniest movies. It's the funniest movie for me. Um, but I don't think this is going to make the list. I hope other votes are in there for it, but I don't think it's going to make the top 50. But yeah, but yeah, Real Genius is from 1985, and if you guys, like I said, if you guys get a chance to watch it, I hope you check it out. That brings me to my number 1 movie, and it seems to be the subject of a lot of heat from people. I don't understand that, but it is what it is. You like your movies, I like my movies, but my number one that I picked, and I picked this as my number one because I don't think it's going to be number one. But this is my most rewatchable movie. Like I said, it's my son's favorite movie now because we watch it all the time. I have a poster of it in my house, and that is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is the 4K steelbook, but I also have the Blu-ray, and yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch the 4K yet, but I'm looking forward to it. What can I say about this? So now this is where it's interesting because Ferris Bueller is not my favorite comedy, but it's my favorite 80s movie. And Real Genius is my favorite comedy, but not my favorite 80s movie. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is from 1986, stars Matthew Broderick, Alan Ruck, Mia Sara, Jennifer Grey, little Charlie Sheen cameo in there. Alan Thicke is in it, and even a little cameo from Terry Garr, if I remember correctly, in the end. But I know there's a lot of people that don't like this movie, and I don't understand that. But to each their own. Whether you think it's overrated or not, it's still pretty popular. It's on Paramount Plus right now. If you want to see it, if you haven't. Otherwise, this is my number one movie, and I'm very happy and proud to stand on my soapbox and say how much I love this movie. But all right, that is my top 25 list. I want to thank you guys for joining me as I went through this whole spiel. Again, Tim, thank you so much for issuing these challenges. I look forward to the next one. Be happy to be a part of it. You guys, for the 4K Lowdown, we have our Faces for Radio podcast on Tuesday. On Monday, it's Mystery Movie Monday, so I'm going to be doing a review on YouTube. Hopefully you guys can check that out. But I think that's it for me. So I want to say be safe, take care, have fun, watch movies, and we'll see you next time.